Warning, the following presentation contains cold, hard truths that might change the way you think. Viewer discretion won't do you any good now.
Now, apparently Disney is not quite too thrilled when it comes to President of Lucasfilm Kathleen Kennedy. Disney isn't too thrilled with Kathleen Kennedy and her involvement with the Star Wars franchise.
Kathleen Kennedy, her time is up. She is being fired because she is terrible at her job. It's that simple.
I feel like she doesn't get Star Wars.
Logically, it makes sense for Lucasfilm to want to remove Kathleen Kennedy.
She is gone. It's either she's already gone or it's going to happen. There's no doubt about it.
Are you fucking kidding me? Kathleen Kennedy, what the hell kind of human are you? What the hell kind of woman are you? I don't think I have ever been so disgusted by another woman in my life.
The woman has done a horrible job and she has been let go. The woman is gone. The woman is gone. In my opinion, she's gone. Bet your ass the woman is gone. It looks like the woman is gone completely.
We could very well have the successor to Kathleen Kennedy being announced as early as September.
You know, there are really only two types of Star Wars fans. Not 3, not 6, not 8, just 2. There's the type that go to Star Wars Celebration and do stuff like this. Then there's the type that do stuff like this.
Hello there, Ruin Johnson here, and old Ruin really felt compelled to urgently make a video.
I mean, this really is disturbing behavior. Now, Star Wars is an incredibly popular thing, and it has a lot of fans. So much so that it has bred its own light and dark sides of fandom. The dark side of Star Wars fandom is a mental illness that's been building for years, ever since around the midpoint of the George Lucas era. Some might say the fan frustrations really culminated during the special editions. Others would say during the prequels. And some would say during the most recent sequel trilogy, aka the Disney era. But the Fandom Menace, as it likes to be known, is simply a group of passionate Star Wars fans who are voicing their concerns about the new films, particularly The Last Jedi. So fucking underrated. They're not a disrespectful group by any means.
Bam! The dumb Asian lady just smashes right into a spaceship. As much as I hate to say it, let the black guy die.
And they seem to be a very unbiased bunch who are not letting their Star Wars devotion or obvious political stance totally shape their judgment.
She has infected Lucasfilm with so much identity politics and so much SJW nonsense.
See, that's just a regular, non-political point of view.
The other points I really have to say are the agendas that are thrown into the movies.
Well, agendas can mean anything. I mean, there's no proof that these people have a conservative or even alt-right bias. Soy boy, the soy is strong with you, cuck, 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 cuck.
Point me to one business that has ever pandered to SJWs that succeeded. Point me to one. Point me to one movie that has ever pandered to SJWs and succeeded. You can't, because it does not exist. Pander to the people that sit in a tent in a movie theater overnight just to talk about their favorite Star Wars stories and characters. Pander to those people. Do not pander to social justice.
Oh, so you'd rather have storylines that only the hardcore fans can relate to, and not larger groups of people. I believe the definition of that is fan service?
Do not pander to social justice warriors.
How do the new Star Wars movies pander to social justice again? Oh yeah, it's the strong female hero, the other strong female hero, the strong black hero, the Latino hero, the pink-haired woman who teaches the Latino a lesson, the Asian woman who teaches the black hero a lesson, the old Hillary Clinton lady who teaches the Latino a lesson, the multiple anti-slavery messages, the straight-up SJW robot, the robot fucking, whatever interracial relationship this is. But come on, guys. What did you think the Star War was even about? Humans and aliens and different species coming together to fight a fascist regime. You can't spell SJW without SW. Not to mention, all of this stuff is just not shitty. Hey, it's better than the Mexican-Jewish stereotype hybrid, or the Black Caribbean stereotype, or the Asian stereotype. God damn, this movie was racist. But the sequel trilogy is also the first time we've seen members of the Imperial Army who aren't white males. At least there's diversity on both sides.
On many sides. On many sides.
We need to get her political ideology and propaganda out of Star Wars. Make Star Wars great again.
Oy. Now, as for Kathleen Kennedy, the big bad boogie quote of hers that people just can't get over is this one from 2016, where she said,
I have a responsibility to the company that I work with. I don't feel that I have a responsibility to cater in some way. I would never just seize on saying, well, this is a franchise that's appealed primarily to men for many, many years, and therefore I owe men something.
And people have really taken this out of context and spun it way out of control. She was answering a question about whether the negative attention Rogue One and Force Awakens received because of its female leads was going to affect her decisions in the future. And she basically just said, no, I'm not going to do anything different because some angry men have been complaining. That doesn't mean she's going to cater to men or women. It just means she's focusing on simply making the films. That's what you should want to hear from a question like that. But everyone exaggerated the crap out of this quote, from Movie Web to Screen Rant to Hello Giggles. Ugh, God. And now you get reactions like this.
All they care about is social justice and man hate and white man hate. That's all they care about.
You know, if you really don't like things that demonize white men, I recommend that you never watch these films.
Fire Kathleen Kennedy. Fire her 3 months ago. The sooner you get this disease out of Lucasfilm.
She's a disease? Looks like she was involved in a few successful movies. I don't know.
From a business perspective, there's so much hate for her, it just makes sense for a changing of the guard. It's not a personal thing, it's a business thing.
It's a business thing? You know, we're talking about someone who's considered the most prolific female producer in Hollywood. Nearly 80 films that have collectively raked in over $11 billion and received over 100 Academy Award nominations. What fucking business perspective are you looking at this from?
It's a business thing. It's like if you have a coach that has a losing season, the coach gets the axe.
Where is the losing season? What, The Last Jedi? The highest grossing film of 2017? Even Solo made money. It just wasn't a quote-unquote hit.
I get it, Disney. You've created this whammon respect mentality, and if you fire a strong, powerful woman that's had 3 movies that's all crossed $1 billion, even though she had literally nothing to do with any of that in terms of the success, all she's had to do is with the social engineering that's been forced into it.
Right, because for all the films she's worked on throughout her career, she was just the social engineering liaison. Remember those black characters in Back to the Future? Her idea. All those Chinese people in Empire of the Sun? That's all she did.
Kathleen Kennedy treats the Star Wars fans like they're fucking idiots. Like they're idiots. Like, oh, well, we're gonna do these solo standalone films, okay? And then we're gonna take away the opening crawl. We're gonna take away everything that makes Star Wars special so you guys know that these are different than the saga films. Why? You don't need to do that.
So she treats the fans like they're fucking idiots because she doesn't want to use the opening crawl in the standalone films? Isn't that the opposite of treating the fans like idiots? Hey, we're gonna remind you guys that this is Star Wars. Yep, in case you didn't realize.
I guarantee you, if you would pull Kathleen Kennedy aside and you would talk to her one-on-one about Star Wars, I guarantee you realize she doesn't really know that much about Star Wars.
She is heavily involved in not only the making of the films, but also the video games, the cartoons. How the fuck could she not know that much about Star Wars? She's the one who's making it.
She doesn't understand this world. Someone in her status needs to be able to be a fan of the source material, but I guarantee you she's not a fan like me and you. Like you, me, we're fans.
Let's get something straight here. If you work on films like this, which she has her entire career, you're a fan. If you're the president of Lucasfilm and you have to live and breathe Star Wars for a living, you are a fan. Most people who work in the film industry or just watch movies in general are fucking fans of Star Wars. But that's the only reason why anybody would slave away at any job if they love what they're working on. And you can tell that she really enjoys her work.
We just teased a little bit of Mandalorian, and I cannot wait, nor can Jon Favreau, to show you some things that I think you're going to really, really love. Yeah. It's pretty fantastic.
And, brace yourselves, she wants to make the fans happy.
The fans are everything to Star Wars. This is a celebration, literally, where you get to see their craft, you get to see their compassion. We dreamed of what everybody would react to and how you would respond, and it went way beyond what we ever imagined.
Boy, I have got to start putting up somewhere on display here the temperature outside, because it's filthy out, man. It's like in the 90s.
Hey, nobody asked you to walk around in a frickin' hoodie under the blistering sun.
I'm busting my ass for what YouTube seems to be telling me is 4 views.
Oof, this is pathetic.
3, 2, 1. Okay, Kathleen, so you stole Star Wars from George.
What the fuck is this?
City agenda everywhere. You know, it doesn't matter if the movies are good or not as long as we have diversity.
This is a new level of bizarre.
You're blaming white men as a lead here as for why Solo couldn't work.
Just take the frickin' hood off. Look how many times he fixes his hood throughout this 2-minute video. 7 times.
So you stole Star Wars from George?
She stole Star Wars from George? He approached her and asked her to take over.
Tell us about the time that George asked you to take over. Were you expecting it, and did you say yes right away?
I wasn't expecting George to ask me anything like this.
If you're a fan of Kathleen Kennedy, go ahead and comment below and tell me by how much. She's paying you.
Dude, I don't think all this running is doing enough for you. You need to go smoke, like, a field of weed.
This woman has taken the greatest IP ever and has ruined it within just a few years.
Yeah, Star Wars was never ruined before. Never. Not one single time.
Oh yeah, I said female, and there's nothing anybody can do to stop me from saying it. She's a female.
How dare you call her a female? How dare you?
I think she's gone. I think that she has no power behind the scenes.
I thought she single-handedly ruined Star Wars. Now she has no power? Which one is it?
Apparently she has a target on her back, and they want her out, like, bad. Now, the source that I'm hearing this from comes from Grace Randolph, and she says she has an inside source that told her that Bob Iger wants Kathleen Kennedy out.
Grace Randolph, huh? Well, I guess I'm gonna have to check her out. Great.
I've got some pretty freaking amazing information for you about Star Wars. And a lot of you are going to be, well, you're going to be, I think, overall happy. Although a lot of this is quite disturbing. All right, so anyway.
You're making this up. I can already tell.
There was a call, a secret conference call with all the top Star Wars brass in attendance. Top brass for not just Star Wars, but also Marvel and Pixar.
Oh, wow.
Also in on the call, but listening only. Likely at the request of Bob Iger, their advice on how to fix this show. And yes, he does know it's a shit show.
Great censoring job there.
It's a shit show.
Okay, let me get this straight. There's a secret Star Wars meeting involving Bob Iger talking on the phone with Marvel Studios and Pixar, but they're not actually speaking, they're only listening in because he needs help fixing what exactly? One movie not doing as good as the others? A bunch of angry YouTubers complaining like their lives depend on it? Yeah, they don't care.
Evidence? The word that he wants Kathleen Kennedy out. He actually does, but nobody will take her job.
Oh my God.
I've been approached, but turned it down, including J.J. Abrams, who turned it flat and didn't even hesitate.
I thought you said evidence. There is no actual evidence for anything that you just said. So let's say Kathleen does quit. Who would you guys rather see fill that role?
Running as head of Lucasfilm, I feel like that individual has to know exactly what Star Wars is.
No, really? Who would have thought that?
I feel that the successor, should definitely be Dave Filoni.
Oh, Dave Filoni. head writer and supervising director of the Clone Wars series. You really threw out a wide net of possibilities there. Someone who already has a full-time job. That's great.
Obviously, we all want to see Dave Filoni be in a creative role position, but I have no idea.
He's already in a creative role position.
Dave Filoni knows the creative team. I think he would be fantastic.
I'm sure Dave Filoni would love this job. Just get him a business partner to work with and you do a Walton Roy. You split it right down the middle between creative and business.
Oh, it's so simple. Just do a Walton Roy. It worked so easily for them. First of all, they were brothers.
It worked great for the Disney company, so why not try it with Star Wars?
Why not just forge a 1 in a million partnership again? Can't believe they didn't think of that.
Logically, it makes sense for Lucasfilm to want to remove Kathleen Kennedy, or at the very least, prop up Dave Filoni in some new creative head of something type of position.
Prop him up? You guys really don't seem to get how films are made. Hey Dave, I know you're really busy being a writer and director on Clone Wars and Resistance and Mandalorian, but here's more work on top of that. Be the president of Lucasfilm so you can be totally fucking enslaved. Now look, I am not knocking Dave Filoni. The guy is incredible. But right now, he really doesn't have a whole lot of live action or film experience. In fact, The Mandalorian will be his very first live action production. So who else you got?
We also had Kevin Feige. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his name. Feige.
Oh my god, it's Feige. That's like saying, is it Rian Johnson?
To be quite honest, guys, I would be so happy if they somehow got him to be the president of Lucasfilm.
How is he going to be president of Lucasfilm and Marvel at the same time? Might as well call up Dave Filoni because he'd have to be cloned. Come on, guys, who else you got?
John Lasseter is amazing.
The Toy Story guy.
He's like the Kevin Feige of Pixar.
Yeah, because if there's one thing I would improve about Star Wars, it's that it revolve a little more around the toys.
The problem is nobody wants to take her job. Nobody wants to replace her.
I think it's also a sad commentary on Hollywood that nobody's willing to take this job.
Yeah, maybe because nobody else has been offered the job.
I mean, it's a very exciting, I think, job opportunity.
Oh, you think so?
Chance to become a Hollywood legend like Kevin Feige.
What a wide display of film knowledge these people have. Did they just pull from a hat that has only 5 names in it? You know, I haven't heard a single choice here that sounds better than Kathleen Kennedy. Not only has she had success in films that are Star Wars, but she has never shown 1 ounce of not caring about this franchise. Every single thing that's come out of her mouth sounds like she takes this more seriously than clearly any of you can possibly imagine.
You know, it's such an intense experience where you're spending more time on the set, making these films, talking about these films, being a part of these movies and these stories, that it's almost more time than you end up spending with your family.
Yeah,
so
true.
She claims to not want to oversaturate with films. She sounds like she wants each one to feel like a special event. And she's proven plenty of times to have actually done her homework on this franchise prior to making these films. She also clearly has no problem firing respected directors who are supposedly not getting the job done. If that doesn't show that someone cares about the product they're making and is willing to make really tough decisions about it, I don't know what does.
I have such an amazing team at Lucasfilm. Every single person that is in charge of all these different areas. The great thing is, number one, they're a fan. And secondly, they strive for excellence. In whatever it is we're creating, they're doing their best work. And they care passionately about what they're doing.
Kathleen Kennedy, of course, has infamously said, "I owe the original male fans of the franchise nothing." Remember that? It was nuts that she said that.
Oh, you mean that quote that you misinterpreted? Yeah, that was nuts. Now, just recently, Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm decided to appoint Michelle Rejwan as the new VP of live action development. And while some people will undoubtedly think this means Kathleen is taking a step back, I'm sorry to say there really is no evidence to support that. Kathleen maintains she'll be producing alongside Michelle, and she's still the president. Lucasfilm has also been involved in an insane amount of projects that don't fall under the category of live-action films. But hey, in a way, you guys got what you wanted. There will be a different person being heavily involved in overseeing all the live-action productions, but instead of Kevin Feige or John Lasseter, it's another woman who you've never heard of.
And they're actually upset with themselves for making a Han Solo movie instead of an Obi-Wan movie.
Oh, we're so upset that we made one bad idea for a prequel instead of an even worse idea for a prequel because the fucking guy was already in 3 prequels.
I don't think we still understand how bad The Last Jedi is.
Ugh, here we go.
It literally destroyed Star Wars. It has hurt every fabric of Star Wars fandom, and I'm even talking about the general movie-going audience. The people that just are looking for a fun night out with the family, even those people have been affected by The Last Jedi.
Oh, we just wanted to have a nice night out with the family, and instead we got this trash.
I don't care. I don't care.
Uh-oh.
I don't care.
Oh no. Wait, Jeremy, don't do anything drastic.
Characters anymore. I don't care.
Oh, thank God.
Characters, I bought them up.
I used to play with these, and now... Oh, don't throw your toys. Those are cool.
These characters are as generic as the Transformers. These characters went from characters I cared about in one movie, and now they've turned into Michael Bay's Transformers.
No. These are Michael Bay Transformers.
Now, as for the film they did mess up, The Last Jedi, I enjoyed the movie, but I realized that it was a huge mistake, right? And I stand by that if they had just given Luke Skywalker a giant lightsaber battle, we wouldn't be doing any of this.
Really? Did you not get what this movie was about? First of all, Luke has gone beyond the old ways of the Jedi, beyond lightsabers. He doesn't need them. Second of all, a saber duel would not have fit at all with what was going on between him and Kylo. His whole reason for feeling guilty and hiding on the island was because he held the saber over Kylo in his sleep. Now he's gonna reconcile by kicking Kylo's ass? No. Think about what this character is actually going through for 2 seconds. And third, not every movie has to have a saber duel in it. We've had 7 movies in a row that have had one. Some of them even had more than one. Give it a rest so the one in episode 9 will actually have some impact. Fourth, who fucking needs a duel when we get all of this incredible saber action?
For one, having Luke negative to the universe is fine, and in fact, it's actually an interesting element that could have worked. But having him also tell Rey that he will never help and to leave him alone, then to flip that switch at the end of the film while also not actually flipping the switch does not make any sense.
What didn't make sense about this? The character changed his mind, Yoda convinced him to face Kylo, he needed to be a force projection to buy the rebels enough time to escape. I mean, you might as well just flash these big red letters on the screen while you say that.
They listened to Harrison, but not to Hamill. And that was a huge mistake because Hamill lives and breathes this fandom. It's the only career he's got for the most part, right?
Oh my God. You know, there was a large gap of no Star Wars for about, I don't know, the majority of his career. 340 acting credits? Oh my God. If I were Mark Hamill, I'd be pretty fucking offended at what you just said. You know, even as I sit here making this video, I'm still discovering new reasons why all of this fucking rules. The First Order has all this new technology now. They can track ships through light speed, but they couldn't track Luke's force projection across the galaxy. And you know why?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power of the Force.
Not to mention the hologram projection symbolism between him and Leia, the fact that both Luke and Leia traveled through space in some way during this movie by using the Force, both Skywalker twins, true to their name, transcended space in really distinguishable ways. And because we were all aware of Mark Hamill's struggle with this script, this scene also works on a meta-contextual level, where Mark Hamill is now just as much of a champion as Luke Skywalker, having had his own real-life act of selflessness by letting go and allowing his character to die.
I'll always be dazzled by the fact that he had the generosity of spirit to do that, and always feel like I really owe him for that. You know, I don't take that lightly.
Kind of reminds me of another major sacrifice I remember seeing in this film that really made me love the character.
Which also ruined Star Wars lore too. I mean, if this was possible, why not do it straight away? Why not just set up a robot spaceship and kamikaze through it at the start?
Maybe it uses up a lot of fuel, which we already know is in limited supply. There's an entire subplot dedicated to that.
Why not tell Poe about the plan and then do it?
That is what happened.
Or why not just kamikaze through the Death Star in A New Hope and we wouldn't have to even watch Luke's progression from a whiny farm boy to a Jedi Knight that turns his father back to the light?
Look, nobody's forcing you to watch these films if you don't want to. I mean, are you angry because they didn't think of this back in 1977? It's not Rian Johnson's fault that nobody had the idea until now.
Giving a character unlimited power from the get-go without even going to Dagobah is why nobody likes them.
No, Rey was already a good fighter. Luke tended to crops growing up. Rey fended for herself as a scavenger and probably kicked the crap out of people on a daily basis. Do you get film now?
Last Jedi, very divisive. People are like up in arms. Some people like it, some people hate it.
Wow. Kudos to Robert Storms for being the first person in this entire study to actually admit that some people liked The Last Jedi. Good for you, Robert, honestly.
Luke died, sacrificing himself, generating more power than any Jedi has ever seen. He died as the most powerful Jedi ever. And it was a really noble sacrifice to me. That's the way I look at it. You guys don't like it? That's cool. You do you, I do me.
I don't know why, but I'm starting to like this guy a lot more.
I don't like the fact that Rey's parents are nobody.
And you blew it.
The problem is, this is a Skywalker saga. The saga films are a Skywalker saga. So if she doesn't have any lineage to a Skywalker, the saga's dead.
Yeah, which is why Episode 9 is the final episode in it.
You had to make Rey a Skywalker. It had to be done. And from what I hear, that was pretty much J.J. Abrams' plan.
Watch this scene again.
Whomever you're waiting for on Jakku, they're never coming back. But there's someone who still could.
Maz Kanata is clearly treating Luke and Rey's parents as completely separate people. Why would she mislead her like that?
Star Wars is now being targeted to older SJWs who don't buy at least as much merch as the older, more conservative original fans and kids who are not enjoying these new movies.
Oh yeah, kids are totally not enjoying these new movies. It's only the older SJWs who are into it.
They believe that the fans care that one of the droids is pro-droids' rights, rather than why Han Solo came to be the guy that everyone loves in the original trilogy.
You didn't even see the movie yet when you made this video. How do you know what's in it?
I'm not even going to go see it this week, the week of it releasing.
And man, wait until he hears about the robot fucking.
Lando never fucked a droid. Okay, I don't know where people's getting this shit from. It was a joke that L3 made that maybe she had feelings for Lando, but that it was a joke, played for jokes.
Holy fucking shit. He is right.
The creatives believe that it is more important to inject Earth identity politics into a franchise that has been around for more than 40 years.
You're acting like that's the only thing in the movie. Like, there's nothing else going on in the story, nothing to do with a fantasy space war and the Jedi, alien races, great conflicts between characters. Nah, it's just a 2-hour lecture on how to be an SJW.
If companies can't understand logic and won't listen, then these identity politics that are already manifesting in universities and now in storytelling will keep spiraling out of control.
Right, if those companies would only understand logic. All right there, Rush Limbaugh. I think we've heard enough from you for one lifetime.
You fire Rian Johnson, and you fire this man publicly, and then you get a restraining order against him with Star Wars. Do not let this man near anything Star Wars related.
Let's be honest for a minute here. Rian Johnson is a fucking saint and savior of Star Wars. Bottom fucking line.
I just have one goal, which is to make the most powerful Star Wars movie I possibly can.
This is a guy who gets harassed every day, every hour, every minute. He literally can't open his mouth without strangers attacking him over The Last Jedi, enduring constant harassment from Star Wars fans, telling him that he has a round head, or that he can't write, or that he has no talent. You'd think it would make him hate Star Wars forever. And yet he still manages to enjoy Star Wars just as much or more than the average fan. Always being positive, always being the better example, even while people are attacking him. So now he's finally started firing back in the most tame ways possible, and good for fucking him. Being super nice and ignoring everybody clearly wasn't working for these people either. But there's also the little fact that The Last Jedi is good.
I think it's a logical move for Lucasfilm to cancel the Rian Johnson trilogy.
His trilogy is not going to happen. That trilogy will be a complete and total disaster. Complete.
It would be absolute craziness if they were like, no, we're going to ignore all of that. Let's go ahead with this trilogy. There's evidence that the Rian Johnson trilogy has been canceled by Disney.
Ooh, I'm sorry, guys. Looks like that's still happening. Kind of reminds me of some other insider reports I remember hearing last year. Gee, I wonder where all these guys are getting their info from.
One day ago, the Daily Express writes an article that she's leaving by September. Then the Daily Express again talks about Kevin Feige might replace her. Then the Express talks about the backlash with Rian Johnson. Then we have the Daily Express talking about Frank Marshall defending Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh, the Daily Express. Basically the World Wide Web equivalent of an STD. Littered with spelling errors and erroneous info. Look how many ads are on this page right now. It's actually breaking my computer. Now, almost all of these blatantly anti-Last Jedi mumble rants are unsurprisingly written by the same person, Stefan Kariasis, who seems relatively normal when he's on camera talking about Star Wars failures or Me Tooing Kate Winslet.
And he knocked down, I knocked over stuff, and I admired her boobs. And he's got his hand on my knees! Very inappropriate, I'm so sorry.
Guys, excuse me for 1 second. But when someone gives this guy a keyboard, he malforms into a human clickbait machine. Captain America ending controversy. Avengers Endgame mistake. Avengers Endgame huge plot hole. James Bond 25 Daniel Craig has quit. You know, I don't even blame geeks and gamers for using this trash website as their source, because this is unfortunately the first thing that comes up when you Google the rise of Skywalker. Just look at this one. This Attack of the Clones link will horrify fans in Episode 9, which discusses the plot rumor of C-3PO using Chewbacca's bowcaster, and that would be one of 3PO's craziest situations since Attack of the Clones. And the humorous battle moment that he had in that film was a major part of the tonal misfires of the prequel trilogy. Really, that 2-second moment was a major part of the misfires? That part wasn't even bad. It's funny as shit. Fans will be hoping Episode 9 does not add ill-judged jokes at C-3PO's expense. Oh, you mean the thing that happens to him in every single movie that he's in? To the long list of issues centered around the perceived disrespect shown to legacy characters and storyline, which alienated a core section of the fandom in The Last Jedi. That core section of the fandom seemed pretty fucking alienated to begin with, let's be honest. Kylo Ren not alone in bed when Luke tried to kill him. Was spoiler there? Yes, he is talking about Rey, even though she would have been about 13 at this time, and why the fuck am I actually giving this theory any attention? Star Wars 9 leaks Luke scene with 2 characters. Fans not impressed. We don't want this. The Force ghost of Luke appears in the distance. He appears young like the Luke we saw in Return of the Jedi. Then an older man without a beard, eventually morphing into the Luke Skywalker we saw on Planet Crate with the beard. What is this, a greatest hits collection of Luke faces? Comments included. It will be really tough, if not impossible, for J.J. Lucasfilms to pull off a successful film that redeems past mistakes without bringing Luke back in the flesh. Luke back in the flesh? Alive or we're done. No Luke, no movie. No ghost, please. A living Luke only. No live Luke, no ticket. Simple as that. You know, guys, that's really nice and cute that you think Luke is going to show up alive in Episode 9. The character died. It was pretty fucking obvious. That's the cornerstone of the entire backlash against Rian Johnson because Luke is dead. Full story at Mike Zero. Oh, for fuck's sake. How many of this dude's articles are just made up crap that was peddled by Mike Zero? Oh, a bunch of them. How shocking. This whole thing is just one giant circle jerk of bullshit rumors. Now, just recently, Stefan finally accepted the fact that Luke is not going to show up alive in Episode 9, and he had this to say about it. Mark Hamill drops 3 Luke bombshells. Bad news for fans. In a new and hugely impressive 26-second red carpet clip. He has just managed to set the record straight about Episode 8, reveal a major teaser for Episode 9, and then blow a huge hole in fan hopes for what comes next. Boy, talk about milking it. He was asked if The Rise of Skywalker would be his final appearance in the franchise, and he said, "I sure hope so." That's the first bombshell. The second bombshell is when he said, "Well, you know I had closure in the last one." Ouch. But then he dropped the real bombshell. He revealed that he will make a curtain call as a Force ghost. Yes, he really said that. It seems Hamill has confirmed Luke will appear as a Force ghost. You know, I feel like I'm getting psoriasis of the brain just listening to you. This guy is such a disease, his last name actually sounds like one. I mean, look, harmless speculation is one thing, but this is just purposely setting people up to hate the film. I don't even know if people like this actually believe the stuff they write or if they're just looking for clicks. Who the fuck knows?
Why are we talking about Kathleen Kennedy? Well, number one, it gets really good views on the channel. And of course, I am on YouTube to get views.
Okay then, I guess that settles it.
Because I know there's a lot of channels that don't get views, and then they claim that they're not here for views, and they're full of shit, but they want to make excuses, and I get it. I do it too, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, I don't like that girl. No, you got shot down by that girl, so you're gonna claim that you're not into her, but reality is you want her, but she shot you down, so you're playing it like you never want her in the first place.
Is that what you're doing with Kathleen Kennedy?
I'm just telling you what I think. And Ethan's been on this for a lot longer than me.
I love how he just refers to Ethan Van Sciver as just Ethan. He gives us no context.
Just like Ethan said, I believe she's already gone from behind the scenes.
All right, this is obviously your main source if you talk about him so much that he's on a first-name basis. Now, Ethan Van Sciver is, of course, a comics artist who's drawn for all sorts of DC stuff. Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, you name it. But now no longer working for DC, he prefers to spend his time working on his own comics, which translates to making YouTube videos like LOL Chris Hemsworth shocked at Brie Larson's stupid ego. Or Brie Larson and Netflix humiliate themselves with Unicorn Store, the worst film ever made. Now, look, I'm not one to judge people that easily, but are you fucking mentally ill? Although Ethan Van Sciver is a central figure in Comicsgate, the anti-diversity movement which harasses marginalized people in the comic book industry for their supposed SJW agendas, the deeper you dive into Ethan's YouTube channel, things just start to get hilarious. Like his playlist titled Terrible Toy Reviews. Let's just go with the first one. SJW's Star Wars Rose Tico toy sales spike 300%.
So here's our chunky little midget with a scowl.
Chunky little midget, nice.
And she has a rifle. Yeah. Very nice.
I'm so creeped out right now.
She's got a logo on her jacket pocket, which is meant to look like alien kind of writing, but actually it is a subliminal message. If you look at it in the mirror, it says end, E-N-D. She is and represents the end of the Star Wars franchise. Very deliberate.
This is just a really creepy camera angle. It just looks like something wrong is about to take place under this camera.
Excuse me, Rose. Just put this in your hand for me.
Oh my god. I don't think I've ever been this creeped out in my life. Now, the hate for The Last Jedi is something that I can go on about forever. And although The Rise of Skywalker is not even out yet, the Fandom Menace has already begun to find ways to complain about it.
The Rise of Skywalker unveils new Sith Trooper ahead of Comic-Con. This is like, does J.J. Abrams know anything about Star Wars? What the what is he thinking? Like, he thinks he could just repackage a stormtrooper, paint him red, and that fans are going to eat that crap up? What?
You know, this is probably not going to be a major plot point. The First Order has red stormtroopers now. They have red stormtroopers now? They have red stormtroopers now. Just look at this guy's channel. He's like the discount Ethan Van Sciver. It's the same exact content.
Welcome to Miles Entertainment. My name is Jesse Milestone, and by now I'm sure you guys have all seen that little interview.
Your video has been playing for 4 seconds, and you've already flipped your hair 3 times.
Kathleen Kennedy basically said, the title doesn't mean anything. What does it mean? Nothing! She just said it means nothing!
Alright, I think this hairstyle is giving you a little more trouble than... Jesus Christ!
This is a terrible title! This is...
Just cut it off already. This is insane. I actually counted the amount of times she fixes her hair in this 4-minute video. 31 times.
It's just to spark your imagination and wonder what it might mean.
Ugh. So let me get this straight. The Force Awakens title meant something. The Last Jedi meant something. But this title? Nah. Just nothing.
Here's my concern now, right? A lot of theories. Oh, well, maybe Rey's the Skywalker. Maybe it's about Kylo Ren being the Skywalker, which would be the biggest cop-out, by the way. My theory is that Rise of Skywalker refers to the Millennium Falcon, because they're just going to rename it. They're going to rename the Millennium Falcon the Skywalker, since it's the most iconic ship in the Star Wars universe.
Are you trying to be funny, or is this a real theory of yours? Either way, it sucks. And I like how she completely ignores the theory that Rise of Skywalker refers to a new order of Jedi or a galaxy-wide slave revolt. The title just means nothing. Really great input.
J.J. Abrams has the world on his shoulder right now. This dude comes out, he's fucked if he does, he's fucked if he don't. And that is why George Lucas sold the damn company in the first place. Because you can't make fans happy.
Kathleen Kennedy has decided to let this all fall on J.J. Abrams, which I think is very disappointing, and yet another blow for female executives overall. Kathleen Kennedy at first was doing so much to help female executives in Hollywood.
Are you serious? You just said that she should fire all of her female employees.
Her loyalists, which she brought in and wear those Forces female t-shirts, right? Why don't you just get rid of Kathleen's loyalists with Kathleen, right? I mean...
Now you're mad that she didn't hire a female director? You're impossible.
You've got Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, the Star Wars theme parks opening on both coasts, and of course the release of Episode 9, all in that order. If the fandom can fell all three of those like they did Solo, it will be legendary. It's just a year. It's just a year, and I think the fandom can do it.
Yeah, this isn't disturbing behavior at all. Praying that a franchise fails and inciting people to help make it fail, that's a sign of stability.
Boycotting is not going to help us. So I disagree with Grace Randolph there. I disagree that boycotting is the answer, because that is not the answer. You're doing nothing but hurting Star Wars at that point.
Call this guy the Darth Vader of this video, because he is fully redeeming himself.
To purposely boycott something and give out hate just to hate, that's wrong in my opinion.
Now, some people might say, well, the new Star Wars fandom will come to the rescue, but let's see if they can.
Look, I hate to break it to you, but there are a lot of old fans who love the new films. Your denial of that fact seems to be running really deep.
This new group of fans, and I would even say fans, right, came in, took a beloved franchise away from those who had made it beloved and what it was, and instead of getting their own franchise, by the way, I don't understand why people want like this really heavily political SJW franchise. Go make a new one. Don't bother Star Wars, right? So they twist this fandom, this franchise.
I thought you were gonna say twist the spandex, which would explain why you're so uptight.
And I think that the new SJW fandom has tried to vilify the original fans in a particularly brutal and vicious way.
You haven't even seen this video yet.
All right, so there's your insider information. I'm curious to hear it.
Wait, where? You mean that 12-minute ramble you just delivered about SJWs that you clearly wrote yourself? That was your insider information? Great. Really, really great. Let's see her top 10 movies of 2019 so far. She picked Dumbo, Alita Battle Angel, Godzilla, Detective Pikachu, Us, Captain Marvel, Shazam, John Wick 3, Aladdin, and Avengers Endgame. Wow. What an impressive wealth of film knowledge you have. Every single one of these is a highly commercialized, wide-release blockbuster hit. Color me really unsurprised. In fact, she literally just picked the top 10 highest-grossing films of 2019, minus How to Train Your Dragon. Top 10 movies of 2019 so far. As if for the second half of the year, she's gonna pivot to micro-budget indie films. Guys, relax about Star Wars being ruined. It's happened before, plenty of times, and this, by the way, was before Disney bought Star Wars. Think about that. But let's get a few things straight before we end this video. Rey is a great character. Kylo Ren is an amazing character. Luke's arc was 100% true to his character. Snoke being killed made perfect sense. Rose and Paige are underrated as shit. Poe should not have learned Holdo's plan because he allowed it to leak to DJ and the First Order. You don't get film. Canto Bight is pure Star Wars escapism that apparently you have no interest in. Reylo is a thing. If you don't like this scene, you should never watch an action film in your life. The Battle of Crate was pure Star Wars candy. Now fuck you and go home, figuratively speaking. But I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the Fandom Menace. I sure didn't. Although Star Wars fans have been mad at Star Wars for decades now, it really has now gotten to the point where mental health has been thrown right out the window. The fact is, most people who make YouTube videos like this, or write articles like this, are just not sounding like they really understand what goes into making films. They also don't seem to care that much about the slew of quality films that exist outside of major blockbusters, which I think should lead you to having your film critic card revoked. This franchise was abused by its former owner, and as a result, its fans are just perniciously overprotective. And because being negative about Star Wars and peddling bullshit rumors does make for great clickbait, these people are manufacturing a crisis that is totally non-existent to people who actually like the new films. Because to put it in simple terms, Star Wars is so good, it makes you go insane. Thanks for watching.
Clearly, the foundation that George Lucas created is exceptional. And I think because George was a bit of a maverick and he was a risk taker, I think the lesson I've always taken from George is be bold and take risks. The thing that George never did was maintain the status quo.